We call the meeting to order. This is a regularly called and scheduled Greer City Council meeting, called this evening, October the 23rd, 2018. Having called the meeting to order, I'd like to ask Mr. Will Sullivan, if he would please, to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Will is a scout that's joining us this evening. And then following the pledge, Councilman Riley Bettis will lead us in an invocation. If you'll stand and join us this evening, Will, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, sir.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we do indeed stand for our flag, a symbol of our great country, born from your teachings and defended with your divine influence. We kneel before the cross, a powerful symbol of your love and ultimate sacrifice for all mankind. We ask your help and your guidance to once again spiritually strengthen this country, this state, this city, and this council, and to guide us to make decisions that are acceptable in your sight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us this evening. We have a rather short meeting, but they are all important, so we thank you for coming this evening. Ms. Adams, do we have anybody to appear in public forum this evening?
No, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Council, as you will note, Ms. Adams has joined us this evening in Ms. Duncan's absence, and so we thank her for volunteering to help us out. She won the lottery and got the short meeting, and will be home with her family before too late tonight, we hope. Minutes of the council meeting from October 9th are contained in your packet. I'll entertain a motion that they be received.
So moved.
And a second. We have a motion and a second in regards to those minutes. Do I hear any items of note that need attention? Well, hearing none. Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood?
Yes.
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. Council departmental reports are contained in your activity reports there, and you will find any information, hopefully, that you might need. If not, feel free to contact department head or Mr. Driggers. Looks like Ms. Howell will bring us an update on our financial information.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to give you a quick update on financials as of September the 30th, 2018. We'll start out with our general fund. Our year-to-date revenue is $1,754,924. Our year-to-date expenditures are $4,633,708, which is 6% under budget. That leads us to a combined positive variance of $400,130. We have an ending cash balance in the general fund for $13,647,899. Move on to the hospitality fund. The year-to-date revenue is 1% over budget at $567,852. The expenditures are $39,011, and our cash balance in the hospitality fund is $1,699,771. Lastly, the stormwater account, the year-to-date revenue is $13,783. The expenditures are $117,864, and then the cash balance of the stormwater account is $1,045,930. I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can.
Council, questions, comments? Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate the report.
Thank you.
With that, we will move to the administrator's report. Mr. Driggers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Mr. Mayor, also, as you made the comment about Ms. Adams winning the lottery, you did remind me I need to make a stop on my way home this evening. So thank you for that friendly reminder.
But none of us can.
Well, if you want to pass it along, we can make an arrangement.
Works both ways, right?
Absolutely.
Have to share, that's for sure.
Trust me, I'm not a greedy person. I would be glad to split that 50-50 with anybody.
I go 25.
That's exactly right. A couple of things I do want to make you aware of that are continuing for us as we move forward. Our farmers market is continuing to have success on Saturday mornings. That program will continue through November the 17th. It's here at City Park from 8:30 in the morning until noon, again each Saturday until November 17th. We're having some great success with that program. Also, this Saturday, we'll have an extra event taking place. That will be the Halloween Hoopla. It'll be here at City Park, and that is from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. Always have great attendance for that event. It's a wonderful opportunity to come see young children as they are celebrating trick-or-treat here in the park. It really is a truly family event, and especially catered for our children here in the community. Greer Station Association is hosting a chili cook-off in downtown, kind of their kickoff as construction plans begin for us to get ready for that activity there. But that will be taking place on Thursday, November the 8th. I invite you to come down and sample some of the chili, and also potentially participate in helping nominate our best chili winner here in our community. Your final walk with your elected official is Saturday, November the 10th. Invite you to be here for that event. Our employee appreciation breakfast is scheduled for Friday, December 14th. We'll have more reminders coming to you on that, but that is a wonderful opportunity for us annually to bring in all of our team members. We celebrate their achievements over this past year, and we do hope that you'll be able to enjoy all of Team Greer as we gather on that Friday morning, December the 14th. Received an update yesterday on our fishing education campaign. Shared some information with you at your last meeting about that. We are currently, we have 89% of our employee group that has been trained in that program. If you've not yet had an opportunity to do that, I certainly do encourage you to please check that out. It will remain open until November 30th. And we are striving for 100% participation in that program. Cybersecurity and issues involving the vulnerability of our data systems is critical for us, and we're trying to make sure that all of our team members are aware of what those risks are and participate in that training. As a reminder, our leaf pickup program begins on November the 5th. We will be distributing the leaf brochures to our community here in the next week as we start to prepare for that rotational collection system that we have in place. A couple of updates to make you aware of. We're moving forward with our Center for the Arts renovation project. Staff has been relocated out of that facility. Our artists have been relocated out of the facility. Our general contractor has mobilized to the site, and they are conducting interior demolition already. So we are moving forward with that project. Again, most of that happening on the inside, and then you'll start to see some more activity on the outside. But we are under construction on that project and moving forward. Also, on our downtown streetscape project, we did hold our pre-bid conference. We had 6 general contractors present for that meeting. We have requested additional information from each of those 6 relative to their qualifications for a project of this type. We will move into bid opening on November the 8th, which is the next major step for us in this process. And we have reached agreement and are finalizing our participation agreement with the Greenville Legislative Delegation Transportation Committee. So that is moving forward and all is in place. It probably will take a couple of weeks following that bid opening for verification of the bids, making sure that any type of bonding requirements can be met, and then we'll be ready to make some announcements moving forward with that. That's my report. Glad to answer any questions that you may have as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I see that we've got Ms. Robin Weston with us this evening, and since she owns a public relations and communications company, I'm going to put her on the spot and ask her if she will come to the podium. I think that most of our council knows her, but I would like for her to introduce herself to our council and give us a brief overview of what you're doing to assist us as we transition into this project and others downtown, and how you're going to be helping us as a liaison to make sure that folks know what are going on and who they need to talk to if something's not going their way.
All righty, well, no pressure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, members of council. My name is Rosalind Weston. I have been in the upstate community now for probably the past 30 years and spent the last 19 years as the VP of Communications out at Greenville-Spartanburg International Airport. Left there in June and opened R.A. Weston Communications. I actually live in Greenville, but rented office space right here in Greer. My husband says I'm a glutton for punishment. I like 85, apparently. So bypassing space in downtown Greenville to come back to downtown Greer, and I'm very happy to do that and very pleased to be acting as the conductor, if you will, which is the title that Ed Driggers gave me as it relates to this streetscape project. I'm very appreciative of the fact that we have some great people in place on this project. Katie Howell from Reno's office, Nikki Crabtree from the Chamber of Commerce, Steve Owens, of course, from the City of Greer, and Allison Rauch from Greer CPW all make up the streetscape PR team, if you will. And so we have been busy meeting with merchants so that we understand what they believe some of the challenges are with this program. Our job as the communications team will be to make sure that the merchants are informed so that they understand what is going on, at least from a public and community engagement standpoint, and also to communicate to the general public that Greer is open and ready for business, and that there are some amazing things going on as we move through this process to really transform downtown Greer. I'm excited that we've gotten some great media coverage so far. Some of you may have seen. We had a really nice article in the Spartanburg Herald Journal. We also had a very nice article in the Greenville Journal, and we also made Greenville Today, the digital newsletter that goes out. And as a result of being in Greenville Today, there was Steve Owens received a follow-up phone call from Jane Robelo out at Channel 4. And so those three entities in particular have all agreed to cover this project from the advertisement of the bid to grand opening. So that's really good news, I think, for the city of Greer, that we're making people aware and hopefully building some intrigue so that they will come into the community and actually experience this project with us, and then be here when we get to grand opening and just spend a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of time in downtown Greer. So that's about all I can tell you now that the mayor has put me on the spot, right off the top of my head. But I'm happy to answer any questions if any of you have any.
Council? Questions, Ms. Weston? Well, we thank you for what you're going to be doing for us, and thank you for coming this evening. Council, with that, we'll move to items of old business, the first of which is the bid summary on the Greer Police Department firing range, and I believe the administrator has some information for us in that regard.
Yes, sir, thank you. At your last meeting, you asked to hold this item over as a part of the time that has taken place from then until now. I've had an opportunity and have met with both Captain Presley and with Chief Hamby, some additional conversation with them about what our path forward may be relative to the range. And they have requested at this point that we would not proceed with a bid approval at this point. They're asking for some additional time to do some additional evaluation, more specifically to the long-term use of that site. I had a great conversation with the mayor earlier about what some of those opportunities could possibly look like. We're at that stage with the bids that they would expire before we're really able to have that evaluation conducted. We certainly would reserve the path forward to re-advertise that if that's what is in our best interest ultimately for us to do. But again, Chief Hamby has asked that I would request of you that we would not proceed with those bids at this time, and we would remove that from your agenda.
Thank you, sir. With that, on the recommendation of staff, that item has been removed. Would any action be necessary, or is the request for removal sufficient in this regard?
It is certainly council's prerogative this evening if anyone wanted to take action on it, since it is an agenda item, but no action would be required to remove it. It would just be a matter of no action.
Okay. All right. With that, then we'll move forward. The next item before us is the second and final reading of ordinance number 34-2018. This is an ordinance relating to the recovery of collection costs as part of delinquent bids collected pursuant to the Set-Off Debt Collection Act. And any additional or new information in that regard, Mr. Driggers?
No, sir. The information that Mr. Seifert presented at your last meeting is the same.
I'll entertain a motion to receive. Second. Have a motion and a second. The floor is open for discussion. Questions? Comments? Hearing none. Ms. Adams?
Mr. Airwood?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert? Yes. Mayor Danner?
Yes. We have the second and final reading of ordinance number 36-2018. This is an ordinance to provide for the annexation of property owned by John W. Beeson Jr. located on Ansel School Road by 100% petition and to establish a zoning classification of R10 for said property. Ms. McCormick joins us this evening. Any new or additional information in regards to second and final reading of ordinance number 36-2018?
Mr. Mayor, no exact new information, but I would like to just provide an update of where they are with this project. If you have been by this site recently, you may have seen that dirt has been turning, roads have been installed, they have been putting in their infrastructure, building the roads, the water, the sewer is practically ready, and we have had final plats submitted for that subdivision. Just to give you a little bit of background information, it is known as Catherine's Garden, and that subdivision originally began with permits in Greenville County, permits not to construct a building, but permits to develop, land development disturbance permits, and they came to the city asking for annexation. We are now ready to do that, and just for full disclosure, they in the county are not required to have external sidewalks along Ansel School. While they do have full sidewalks inside of the development, there will not be sidewalks on the perimeter of this subdivision. If agreed to annex, if council decides to do that, we will have to accept that as is, as they started their development process in Greenville County. I'm about to take any questions in that regard or any other matter for that.
Maybe I missed it. Why are they not required to have the sidewalks?
There's simply a requirement in the city to have sidewalks with developments over 10 acres. This would certainly meet that requirement if they initially began that process in the city, and it's certainly within council's purview to annex this property without those or choose to not do that. However, as it began in Greenville County, they do not have that requirement. Unless they're within a mile of a school, there is no requirement in Greenville County for external sidewalks along the roadway.
It would be a similar annexation as if we were annexing an existing neighborhood. It's just, they didn't have, right. This situation is...
This was annexed, Greenville County handled it first.
Correct.
And now they've decided to come to the city.
Correct.
That's one way to get out sidewalks.
Well, it's not a good way.
Not a good way.
We probably need to correct that, too.
And what did you say about 10 acres? I didn't know that there was
When
a...
one developer finds a way around it,
Yeah.
there'll be others.
Yeah. I can assure you, the intent wasn't, the reason this project is coming to us after the fact is not because of sidewalks. I can absolutely assure you, because this developer has built multiple residential communities in our city, and they know that they do sidewalks
Who
on
is
this
that?
project. Mr. Beeson.
Okay, I saw that one thing.
So that isn't the issue. The issue for them was that they were proceeding to develop the neighborhood without annexation and receiving sewer services from Greer CPW. Greer CPW advised them that they, again, after they had been permitted, advised them that they could not provide or would not provide sewer services to this project with it not being in the city. Therefore, we had to determine a path of being able to be contiguous for that site and then annex the property in to receive the sewer service moving forward. This was a very unusual circumstance.
Yeah, wouldn't you think that utilities might be the first thing on their list?
Yes, and they did receive confirmation that sewer service would be provided to them, and they shouldn't have been.
Oh,
The developer did everything they should do. The issue then became, they received a commitment notification of sewer service being available and would be provided to them. Greer CPW then made them aware that it was their policy that they do not provide sewer service to sites outside the city limits of Greer.
Now, this is the same developer that's done multiple developments in the city, didn't know that he had to be in the city to have sewer, which you said is almost ready without full annexation?
And was in a position that asked would sewer be provided, was told yes, and he proceeded with his project in that manner.
thinking it was going to be in the county. Well, I would rather he put his sidewalks on the exterior rather than the inside.
We can't require it. We cannot annex it. You cannot annex the property, but we cannot, the project was permitted and approved under Greenville County subdivision regulations.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Councilman Bettis here. Because I'm kind of thinking the same thing's going to end up in on another street that just got annexed, it was already in Greenville County, but set up their building to be built in Greenville County.
That, I don't think that the builder's gonna do that, because that little bit of sidewalk on the exterior of that is a minute cost.
Well, I don't know, the small sidewalk down there in front of, Riverside Chase was like 200 and something thousand for that.
There's a lot of utilities.
Yeah,
involved
yeah.
in that. This is not, and to make it a little bit easier to swallow, if you're looking at the map, to the left of the map is an existing subdivision that will never be in the city.
Right.
No sidewalks.
Yeah, we have
If you look to the right, if you look to the right on the map, there is 4 parcels of land that are not in the city and probably never will be. Then you get to the next subdivision that's in the city. It has no sidewalks. And
Older one, I guess.
I don't think.
Country Meadows doesn't either.
Right,
They're
yeah, so
before that law.
Neither does
Yeah.
Ashley Commons, which is across the street.
yeah, so the only one that may have sidewalks is that newest one, which is adjacent to the church. But the rest, I mean, it would just be an island unto itself.
Kelly, what did you say about the 10 acres? Something about not requiring sidewalks unless it was...
Yes, ma'am. Our land development regulations exempt projects under that size from providing sidewalks.
Oh, I didn't know that that was in there. I thought it was anything that built, because I know that like up on Brushy Creek Road, there's like doctor's offices and stuff, and I know they're not 10 acres there, and they had a sidewalk. And then the...
We ask all commercial projects
All
regardless of
commercial,
size to
okay.
install projects,
All right,
to install
okay.
sidewalks.
Well, I'm sorry, it's my understanding then that it was a requirement for those building within the city limits.
And that's certainly something we can explore.
I didn't know there was regulation on acreage.
We certainly believe that there are several opportunities for us to look at making some revisions to our subdivision regulations relative to sidewalks. To Mr. Airwood's point, truly from a planning perspective, looking at this site, but for it's greater than 10 acres and sidewalks are required, we would say that it isn't the best place to put exterior sidewalks. It isn't. But we have a policy that says that's what we do.
I think probably when you look around, you see several that maybe you wouldn't think, because there's nothing to connect there to. But as we grow and develop,
Absolutely
even though he
understand
says
that.
these may never be in the city, there's no guarantee they won't be in the city,
In this situation, those properties are in the city and they do not have exterior sidewalks. I'm being specific to this
Well,
particular
we have to get
subdivision.
back to a certain age, I guess, because I don't know what year this sidewalk regulation or ruling or whatever was put into place.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so with that, we certainly believe that every developer should have a responsibility to contribute to the sidewalk system of our municipality. But there may be occasions, either through plan review or some part of that process, if there are places that is not the absolute most feasible thing to do, then we would suggest that they should still contribute value into the city's sidewalk system, because there may be places that we need to make connections. And that is a resource of revenue that we could use to help us do that.
But they don't start with sidewalks somewhere.
Please don't misunderstand. I am not disputing that. I understand why we do it. In this location, from a planning perspective, it's not possibly the best use of funds.
Whose funds? The builder's funds.
Well, or our funds, if we have a policy that they would have to contribute those. Because we know that in this environment, unless we build them, there will not be connectivity because there isn't space for development. That was Mr. Airwood's point, is that we don't have vacant land there. We have established, built-out residential properties.
Well, I think in this case, this is one case where if we as a body decided not to annex it, then those tax dollars are gone. It would behoove us to annex it and take some of the tax dollars and build sidewalks ourselves, rather than not annex it and let that money be gone forever. In this instance,
Yeah, but what
price range
possibility
are they
are we
gonna-
talking about here?
These homes are slated to be in the upper twos, mid 300,000, and when people start adding options with new homes, you're in the mid threes to upper threes when you get to the end. They're advertising these as first floor master bedroom, so that'll be a nice option. Sometimes we don't have that in new construction. A nice builder has been signed on to the project. Absent of the sidewalk requirement, it meets all other city regulations. We've checked it for safety thoroughly. Of course, emergency service access is one of our paramount things of importance, and they did add that to the plan for us. There are many communities in South Carolina that have a variety of sidewalk programs that we've been studying and may want to consider. For example, a fee in lieu of sidewalk program is something that several communities, rather than giving variances to not have sidewalks in areas where it doesn't make sense for the developer or for connectivity, like Mr. Trigger spoke of, they contribute to a fund where then the city can repair or install sidewalks in communities where it really does make sense, where walkability to your downtown is really important, or sidewalks are being damaged by tree roots, and the budget or the general fund simply cannot handle the volume of that. And, for example, if council were to, in this case, say, okay, no sidewalks are required, but they may want to contribute to a fund if that becomes something that we put into place. Later down the road, if this becomes the island in the middle of a huge developed area with sidewalks, then you would have that fund to go back and install. It would not be simply that they didn't contribute anything to the sidewalk program of the city, but maybe leverage those dollars in an area where it would be more beneficial.
again, specific to this development, I can assure you that it was not an intentional move by the builder or by the developer to circumvent our requirement for sidewalks. That did not happen.
It was miscommunication.
It wasn't, this was an example where they applied for sewer service and received notification that it would be provided. He had that in writing to move forward. That's what he needs to take to the county that says, I will have sewer service provided to my site. He had that confirmation. The person who provided that confirmation was not in a position that they should have done that. They just shouldn't have. And when the proper folks determined that they had received that assurance in writing and that it wasn't inside the city limits, they said, it is required to be in the city to do this. And so between CPW and us, we determined a way to make that property contiguous, and that has occurred. The property is contiguous, and CPW, under their policy, can provide sewer to that site. We tried to work with them, and they tried to work with us, but I do not in any way believe that this was an intent to circumvent our requirement for sidewalks. They've just done them in every other project, and there's never been an issue.
They wanted to be in the city with this project, but there was a large tract of land that was separating this tract that they owned. They tried to purchase additional property, and it didn't work out at first. And then when they got that letter, they assumed they would proceed. And then, again, we're told they needed to annex, and so that contiguous strip along the back of that property became available.
Now, in reading the agenda, and I'm sorry I don't have mine here in front of me, but this isn't set up as DRD, is it?
No, ma'am, this will be zoned R10,
Yeah.
and they will develop as a cluster subdivision. It meets all of our requirements. There's no other deficiencies that we have other than the sidewalks. We want to have that in full disclosure. We've evaluated this thoroughly.
Others? Ms. Adams?
We made a motion. I'd like to make a motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Airwood?
Yes.
Mr. Griffin?
Yes.
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
No.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. Mr. Driggers, any items for executive session?
No, sir.
Then adjourned.